Game Week 28 is the week a lot of people are going to be looking at new midfielders to buy, including myself. So let's discuss. But before we get started, make sure you guys like this video. That would be greatly appreciated. And I think we're less than 5 subscribers away from 700. So you guys know what to do. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel as well. But we finally got a Timber assist this week. And we still walked out with 3 points. Guys, if this is a decision that sums up my season, or not even a decision, a game by a player, I think it's this. Because I kept saying Timber returns are coming. He gets the return and it's 3 points because he gets the yellow card and comes off before the 60th minute. But we'll get to that anyway. Let's discuss Verbruggen first. Finally got that clean sheet, which was overdue, let's be honest, with the amount of late goals Brighton had conceded in recent weeks. The save that he pulled out at the end, which came off a Brighton play, by the way, was incredible. And that don't even go down as a save on FPL, which is very frustrating. Because if that counted on the official FPL website, he would have got bonus points as well, which is very, very frustrating. But listen, 7 points for Verbruggen. Very, very happy with that. Finally got it, man. It was coming. It was coming, especially after the amount of late goals. I'll be honest, I did expect another late goal by Brentford to take away my clean sheet, but it was nice having that. Now on to Gabriel, who got 2 points. Listen, the manner that Arsenal conceded that goal, very, very disappointing, especially with Declan Rice coming out, just messing about kind of thing. A player of his caliber who's probably been top 2 midfielders in the world this year. Very, very disappointing. And that wiped out the Arsenal clean sheet. Again, another game. That's the third game now in a row where Arsenal have conceded. Slightly frustrating, but it is what it is. With Gabriel, Arsenal's clean sheet going, I don't really care because he's so highly owned. But Timber was the one that I really wanted to make that difference. And he came up before the 60th minute. Got that assist. He created 3 chances in that game as well before he came off. There was another one that he created for Trossard, which I think was a decent chance that Trossard could have done slightly better if he's on target, could go in. But listen, he did deserve to come off, in my opinion. He was obviously on that yellow card as well. Overall, I don't think Timber's, let's say, quality or performances have been there over the last couple games. I said it last week. He looked very, very tired in the Wolves game. And today, again, I don't think he hit the same heights. And Mascara came on, by the way. Mascara actually made a very, very nice impact at right back. I was looking at the numbers after the game. He won 4 out of 4 ground duels. He won 4 out of 4 tackles as well, which is very, very impressive. So listen, that probably gives Arteta something to think about. But luckily, Arsenal have a week's rest where I'm still confident enough with Timber's minutes going forward. Regarding that substitution as well, that was the first time in 2026 where in the Premier League, Timber hasn't played a full game. So listen, more often than not, Timber's going to play. I just think today was a bit of fatigue, yellow card, game management by Arsenal. And listen, it was the right decision at the end because they won 4-1. Munoz 9 point now. I'm going to say very nice, but I'm going to put a question mark or asterisk to it because obviously, as you guys know, I took out Virgil van Dijk 2 weeks ago to bring in Munoz. And since that point, Virgil van Dijk's got a 17 pointer and a 12 pointer today. But anyway, back to Munoz. He got a clean sheet. And that was going to be a very, very interesting game in terms of, obviously, we were looking at how Crystal Palace were going to respond after all the stuff that's happened in recent weeks regarding Glasner. Even on the news conference on Friday, I didn't know if Glasner was going to even be in charge for the game on the weekend. There were so many rumors going around. But listen, Crystal Palace fought to the end in the night added time to get the goal, which I think, listen, they probably just about deserved. But obviously, listen, 9 points from Munoz. Got DEFCON as well. I did say this before. In terms of wing-backs / fullbacks, Munoz is probably one of the better defenders for that. So listen, that is very, very nice. 9 points. Can't really complain. Got 1 bonus as well. But that's how the defense done. You know what's crazy? If I played Joachim Anderson and Rodon, they both outscored Timber and Gabriel. What? FPL sometimes. But anyway, that's how the defense done. Let's look at the midfield. Now with the midfield, and very, very disappointing. Again, Bruno Fernandes still has to play tomorrow against Everton. Hopefully he returns. Declan Rice 4 pointer. He only got DEFCON. But like I said, with the mistake that he made for the goal, a player of his caliber, his leadership going into this game with the amount of pressure Arsenal were on, I expected better. But listen, it doesn't really matter if he makes an error leading to a goal from an FPL point of view because he still cleaned up with DEFCON, which was obviously very nice. Going forward, he's probably an area that, like I said before, I do want to look to take out now. Arsenal have Chelsea next, and we'll discuss it a bit more like later down in the video in terms of my transfer plans going forward, but he's definitely someone on the chopping board. Enzo Fernandez blank, and I'll be honest, he deserved to blank. Like, normally the last couple weeks I said Enzo Fernandez is very unlucky not to get a return, but the game against Burnley, 2 points, or as Enzo Fernandez on his fair, because he didn't really do much from a attacking FPL point of view. He didn't really create much. Didn't really have much, let's say, going forward in terms of shooting wise. A very disappointing performance by Chelsea as well. You would have thought, listen, they're playing Burnley at home. Burnley are, in my opinion, the worst side in this league. That Chelsea would have really got 3-4 goals against them. But they didn't really create much. Besides the goal, you saw that Cole Palmer had that one chance where Kyle Walker made that mistake, taking the ball down. But it was actually such a lackluster performance from Chelsea. And that surprised me because, listen, I actually think Liam Rosenior, however you say his name, I still don't know how to say it, has been doing relatively well. He's obviously got a lot of positive results for Chelsea, but the performance against Burnley was nowhere near good enough. And he's another one. He's probably on the chopping board now for my team. Semenyo, 4 points. He only got DEFCON. And if you guys watched the City Newcastle game, extremely impressed with Manchester City personally. I think the amount of chances that they were creating, if let's say the final pass was better by either Semenyo or Marmoush, it could have really been a lot worse for Newcastle. So that fact that Semenyo walked out of that game with only DEFCON, it is slightly frustrating. There was a point in the second half, I think it was, Semenyo had a brilliant run. He arguably should have played Erling Haaland in, but Semenyo, probably a player playing with so much confidence, decides to go the other way onto his left foot, I think it was, and decides to take a shot, and it went miles over. Listen, he's clearly a player confident, but at the same time, he probably could have done better in that instance. But overall, Manchester City, like I said, very good performance. But I'm going to talk about Manchester City a bit more straight away regarding Erling Haaland as well. Because when I was watching that Erling Haaland Manchester City game, I thought Erling Haaland was phenomenal. Now, I think this is the best performance as like a number 9 I've seen from Erling Haaland in a very long time. But at the same time, I obviously was watching the game with 2 eyes. One in terms of my FPL angle and one in terms of just my general footballing opinion. Erling Haaland, like I said, was phenomenal. But from an FPL point of view, I was watching the game and I was thinking, City lining up with Semenyo and Marmoush together, especially Marmoush, who I thought at times was relatively greedy, could have played Haaland or someone else in a couple of times. I was like, I'm not too sure if I like this from an Erling Haaland owner or Erling Haaland's captaincy point of view. And also, like, I think City, I don't mind, let's say, the new shape in terms of how that benefits Manchester City. But from an FPL point of view, like I said, having Semenyo and Marmoush is completely different from having Cherki and Foden in earlier on in the season, where those two are more creative players, especially Cherki, that they're going to look for someone like Erling Haaland to obviously find the back of the net. Semenyo and Marmoush clearly have a lot of confidence where they know their own ability that they can get goals themselves. That takes away a lot from Erling Haaland, in my opinion, in terms of my FPL point of view. Like I said, remember guys, I'm talking from an FPL point of view. His performance, the best I've seen Erling Haaland in a very long time. But from an FPL point of view, I was slightly disappointed. Someone that I think no one is going to be disappointed by is Nico O'Reilly, 17 points. And I said it in the video with Ty, who also owns him, very lucky guy. That point haul that he got last week before was due. And that 17-pointer again this week was due. Not due, it was deserved. Because if you guys saw the positions that Nico O'Reilly was taking up, was incredible. There was times where he was beyond Erling Haaland. And this is why I say, I'm not too sure what I think from an Erling Haaland point of view if I'm happy with how Manchester City are lining up. Because Erling Haaland's dropping in, Nico O'Reilly's going, Semenyo's going, Marmoush is going all beyond him. And obviously Erling Haaland's link-up, hold-up play was brilliant. But it is slightly concerning. But at the same time, with how many minutes Salah got today, him coming off for considering the fact Liverpool are chasing a goal, I'm not too sure if I'm going to make that Haaland to Salah switch now. But we'll discuss it a bit more. Thiago 2 points. Listen, it was either going to be Verbruggen getting points or Thiago getting points. I would have rather Verbruggen got points because obviously he's lower owned, so I'm not going to complain. And Ivan Olsen, another blank. But you know what, yeah? Normally in previous weeks, I blamed Ivan Olsen for not returning. But when I was watching the game, which I can't believe I watched, because especially that first half, it was so bad, the quality. Bournemouth just weren't feeding Ivan Nilsson at all. He barely touched the ball in that first half. A couple of times he probably could have done better in terms of hold-up play, but a couple of times he done well. He was trying to link with other players. But Bournemouth, especially in that first half, they were nowhere near good enough. And this is where I take FPL too seriously. And I was getting frustrated with Evan-Ilson. Imagine, at halftime, I was looking at every single goal Evan-Ilson has scored in the Premier League this year. And he's only scored 5, so this didn't take me long, guys. Guess how many of them have been in the first half? 4 of them. And the one goal that he scored in the second half was, I think, in the 46th minute. So as soon as I saw that Evan-Ilson hadn't scored in the first half, I was like, listen, there's no way he's going to do anything in the second half. And listen, he got 60 minutes at least. He got me that extra point, which he didn't last week, and he obviously came off. Ryan. I'm going to keep saying it. Ryan. However you want to say his name, the Brazilian on the right-hand side. That run he had, I keep saying it. He is one of the signings of the window. And probably, listen, a club should just chuck 70 million at Bournemouth right now. Like, he's the most obvious success. And I said this in the summer to a couple of my friends when I watched him. He's running power for someone his age. His finishing ability. It was the most obvious success you're ever going to have. And listen, I'm not even going to give credit to Bournemouth's recruitment. It was just obvious that this guy was going to succeed in the Premier League. And we're seeing the quality that he has in these opening couple games. And more importantly, from an FPL point of view, he might be the one that I look to bring in. So let's discuss that. Now, I am on plan FPL to discuss my future moves, especially game week 28. Now, game week 28 was a week where I was actually looking to take out Declan Rice for a certain Florian Wirtz, which I would have had to raise funds for by selling, obviously, Enzo Fernandez. But the problem is now, Florian Wirtz obviously didn't play the Liverpool game against Nottingham Forest. He got injured in the warm-up. We are going to have to hear more. The fact that he didn't play is slightly concerning. Would he be back next week? Probably not. But at the same time, Liverpool didn't really click from an offensive point of view. Someone that I was obviously looking at as well was Salah, who I thought in recent weeks had looked a lot better. But today against Nottingham Forest, Salah and Gakpo weren't great. Even Rio Ngamoa, he came on. He had more dribbles and chances created than both Salah and Gakpo combined today. And he only got, what, 20-odd minutes? So I think that just shows the lackluster performance by Liverpool offensively. So I'm kind of going to rule that out for now regarding that Salah switch. But this is how my team is looking like. I think you guys can see the issues in my side. And they probably are a bit defensively in terms of Verbruggen, Nottingham Forest at home. Not bad. Timber and Gabriel, Chelsea at home. Not ideal, but obviously Arsenal's defense is so good that they're always going to have strong clean sheet odds, for example, this week. Munoz against Manchester United away, again, not ideal. That midfield, Rice, Chelsea at home, probably will get DEFCON knowing Declan Rice, but again, not the best of fixtures. Enzo Fernandez is 1,000% leaving my team. Semenyo against Leeds away, happy with that. Bruno, Crystal Palace at home, happy with that. Evan-Ilson, even though Evan-Ilson has been disappointing, having Sunderland at home is a good fixture. And then Haaland, Thiago speak for themselves. So I'm looking to take out Enzo Fernandez, and I currently has 0.2 million in the bank. And I only have one free transfer. And I feel like everyone in FPL is currently talking about three midfielders in particular. Harry Wilson, who got an assist today. And I'll be honest, I was happy he got an assist because I feel like in recent weeks, he's kind of been overlooked massively in terms of, especially this week, people bringing him in. RAYAN, who we obviously spoke about, and obviously Dango Tara. But I also want to mention Tavernier, because Tavernier came on for Bournemouth, and he actually looked very, very good. He went on one crazy run when he came on. So I thought that really, really impressed me. And I think, listen, he's 5.3 million. We know he's Bournemouth's penalty taker when on the pitch. Is he going to necessarily start next week after come back from injury? We don't know. But it might be a very, very good risk to take. Those are the three midfielders that I'm thinking about in particular. But listen, let's just pencil in. If I was to choose someone, see, this is where it gets difficult. Because I actually think Dango Tara has the best fixtures out of the, let's say, 3 or 4 midfielders that I said. But at the same time, I'm looking at Harry Wilson. Game week 31, Burnley at home is a sensational fixture. And that's obviously the blank game week. So that is something I have to think about. Dango Tara, if we're looking at it, Burnley away is obviously brilliant. Bournemouth away, a bit more difficult. Bournemouth defensively, by the way, again, another clean sheet. Even though, listen, if we're looking at expected goals conceded, they did not deserve that clean sheet. But since Hill and Senesi have been starting together, they have looked a lot better. Wolves at home and then Leeds away. It is a very favourable set of 4 fixtures before, obviously, a wild card in 32, which is something that I have to think about. But there's just something about Ryan. Whenever I'm watching him, and he's someone that I said from the start, as soon as he entered the league, he's an absolute joy to watch. I am telling you guys, I've seen so much footage of this guy on Y Scout in the summer when I was just learning more about him. He's sensational. And I still feel like what we're seeing in the Premier League is only like a glimmer of what he can be and what he can actually produce so far this season. But again, the only thing that slightly concerns me with him is David Brooks is back. Surely there's a point where he's still adjusting to a new league that he might be the one that comes off early. But then against West Ham, where everyone else was coming off, he didn't come off. I think I'm actually leaning towards him. And I think I just have to, just considering the fact of how highly I've talked about him and how much, as let's say, a football fan, I enjoy watching. And obviously, he still has that Burnley fixture in game week 30, which obviously is very, very nice. That's how, or those are my, let's say, initial thoughts heading into this week. But again, like I said, defensively, I don't like it. And again, I haven't been impressed with Arsenal defense in recent weeks. And obviously, there's going to be concerns now regarding Timber, his minutes. And listen, I'm probably going to think about this closer to the time, but I don't actually mind taking out Euro and Timber now. I know I have a lot of value tied up in him. But again, fatigue is clearly becoming an issue with Timber in terms of the quality of his performances. Mascara obviously done very well at right back, and obviously Ben White's done well at right back before for Arsenal when he's played. So there's going to be more opportunities for Timber to get rested. And realistically, the more I think about it, do I realistically want to hold Timber after my wildcard in game 32? The answer to that question might be yes. But at the same time, Arsenal are still in every single cup competition. There's obviously going to be room for Ben White to impress in other, let's say, cup competitions. But more importantly, the Champions League, Ben White is not going to get games. It's going to be Timber. So could there be a chance that instead of Timber playing literally every single game, Ben White gets the Premier League games? Maybe. The answer to that question is obviously maybe. Which is why I don't mind taking out Euro and Timber this week. Again, I think there's only one option then if I obviously change Euro and Timber. And that's obviously going to be Virgil van Dijk, which is slightly frustrating considering the fact that I obviously did take him out. But again, Liverpool fixtures from a defensive point of view are still good enough. West Ham, Wolves, Tottenham, Brighton before a wildcard at 32. But then the question becomes, is that worth a -4 to bring in Virgil van Dijk? Maybe. Because the only reason I say maybe, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree, I probably do have to take a -4 to sort my team out for 31 anyway, getting 11 playing players. Taking out Timber now and bringing in Virgil van Dijk might be the play. But let me know what you guys think. I feel like I'm rambling quite a lot, especially when you're doing these transfer plans live on the spot. There's just so many things going through my head. That might be how I line up for Game Week 28. But tell me, guys, do you think a -4 is worth it, taking out Timber and bringing in Virgil? You know, there's just something about me with Timber, though, that I feel like the week that I take him out is going to be the week that he gets that big return, which I've been saying has been overdue. But listen, I can make another 50 minutes of me just discussing all the dilemmas I have. I don't think anyone's going to watch that. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back soon. Actually, I'll be back tomorrow. So make sure you guys like the video.